Welcome, friends! This year, at Ridván 2026, the Bahá'í community of Ottawa will once again elect its local spiritual assembly through a two-stage process. This video will help you understand this process, reflect on the sacred nature of Bahá'í elections, and give you the practical information you need to participate fully and with confidence. This year brings some refinements to how our electoral units are organized. These changes reflect our community's ongoing learning as we continue to align our approach with the guidance of the Universal House of Justice. We will begin by reflecting on what makes Bahá'í elections unique.
Bahá'í elections are fundamentally different from elections that we see in wider society. There are no nominations, no campaigns, no parties or factions, and no discussion about specific individuals as candidates. In the Bahá'í system of election, each believer approaches the election as a sacred duty, voting by secret ballot for those souls whom prayer and reflection have inspired them to vote. The Universal House of Justice has written, "When called upon to vote in a Bahá'í election, believers should be aware that they are carrying out a sacred task unique to this dispensation. They should approach this duty in a prayerful attitude, seeking divine guidance and confirmation." While we do not discuss specific individuals, we are encouraged to reflect on the qualities important for those who will serve on the assembly and take time to get acquainted with one another throughout the year. This approach preserves the complete freedom of every voter to choose according to their own conscience, guided by prayer and reflection. It is this freedom and reliance on divine guidance that gives Bahá'í elections their sacred character.
The Bahá'í faith has no clergy. From its earliest days, the affairs of the Bahá'í community have been administered by elected institutions known as spiritual assemblies. These institutions are not merely administrative bodies. Abdu'l-Bahá says, quote, "These spiritual assemblies are shining lamps and heavenly gardens from which the fragrances of holiness are diffused over all regions, and the lights of knowledge are shed abroad over all created things. From them the spirit of life streameth in every direction. They, indeed, are the potent sources of the progress of man, at all times and under all conditions." End quote.
In Canada, the Bahá'í community has been present since 1898, when Edith McGee, a 17-year-old, heard about the faith whilst in Chicago and then returned to her hometown in London, Ontario, and began teaching the faith. In 1902, May Bowles Maxwell moved to Montreal and became later known as the mother of the Bahá'í community of Canada. In 1912, Montreal had the great privilege of being visited by Abdu'l-Bahá when he stayed at the home of the Maxwells. 10 years later, in 1922, Montreal formed the first local spiritual assembly in Canada. In 1925, under the guidance of Shoghi Effendi, the first National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada was established, marking a decisive step in the administrative development of the faith in North America. Then, in 1948, a significant milestone was reached. The Canadian Bahá'í community had grown sufficiently to form its own independent National Spiritual Assembly. This was a historic moment, and Canada's National Spiritual Assembly became the first Bahá'í institution in the world to be formally incorporated by an Act of Parliament in 1949. In 1948, the Bahá'í community of Ottawa also reached its own milestone.
The Bahá'í community of Ottawa traces its origins to 1940, when Winifred Harvey arrived in the city from Winnipeg, becoming Ottawa's first resident Bahá'í. Over the following years, a small but devoted community began to form. In April 1948, the Ottawa community elected its first local spiritual assembly, the 14th in Canada. This was a moment of great joy and significance, marking the establishment of the institution that would guide and nurture the community's development for generations to come. In the decades that followed, the Ottawa Bahá'í community grew steadily. The 1970s saw a period of expansion, particularly amongst university students, and the community was further enriched when it welcomed many Bahá'ís of Persian background in the 1980s. In 2001, the municipal boundaries of Ottawa changed dramatically. Several smaller cities amalgamated to form the newer, larger city of Ottawa. For the Bahá'í community, this meant that several local spiritual assemblies that had existed in areas like Nepean, Gloucester, and Kanata were consolidated into a single local spiritual assembly for the Bahá'ís of Ottawa. From that point until 2022, the election of the local spiritual assembly followed the traditional method. All the Bahá'ís of Ottawa would gather together at Ridván, and each voter would cast their ballot for 9 individuals to serve on the assembly. The community continued to grow and by 2022 numbered over 1,000 adult believers. That year, Ottawa was selected by the Universal House of Justice as one of 5 communities across North America to begin using a new approach to elect its local spiritual assembly, the 2-stage electoral process.
This is the path that has brought us to where we stand today. More than a century of growth, guided by that same light that Abdu'l-Bahá described. Shining lamps and heavenly gardens, nurturing a community that continues to flourish. Now let us look at how the 2-stage election process works. As communities grow, the Bahá'í world has learned that many aspects of community life benefit from decentralization, bringing activities closer to where people live so that friends can work side by side with those they know well. Since 2001, the Bahá'í world has progressively decentralized its community activities. Children's classes, study circles, and devotional gatherings began to take place in neighborhoods rather than only at central locations. Junior youth groups followed the same pattern, and in large communities like Ottawa, even the 19-day feast became decentralized, with friends gathering in their own homes and neighborhoods every 19 days, and less frequently as a whole city. The electoral process in large communities can similarly benefit from this decentralization. When we vote among those with whom we are more intimately familiar, those with whom we serve side by side in our neighborhoods, we can make more informed choices.
The 2-stage election process is not a new invention. It traces its origins to instructions given by Abdu'l-Bahá himself to the Spiritual Assembly of Tehran, which also had a large Bahá'í population. In December 2005, the Universal House of Justice indicated that this process would gradually be introduced to communities around the world where conditions warranted it. By December 2021, 22 local assemblies in 8 countries were already being elected using this method. The House of Justice wrote, quote, "As the number of Bahá'ís residing in a locality grows large and the community's capacity for managing complexity increases, the case for implementing a 2-stage electoral process becomes commensurately stronger." End quote. On 25 January 2022, the National Spiritual Assembly of Canada informed Ottawa and Toronto that they had been selected as the first 2 communities in Canada to use this process, beginning at Ridván 2022. This was a historic moment. Both communities were also the first clusters in Canada to be within clear reach of 1,000 core activities, a testament to their vibrancy and growth.
The two-stage election process is similar in many respects to how the National Spiritual Assembly is elected. It involves two distinct stages. Stage 1, the election of delegates. In the first stage, the city is divided into geographic units. The Baha'is in each unit gather to elect delegates from among the adult believers who live in that unit. Any Baha'i who is 18 years of age or older may vote in this first stage. Any Baha'i who is 21 years of age or older and who lives in that unit is eligible to be elected as a delegate. The number of delegates elected from each unit is based on the size of that unit's adult Baha'i population. Across all of Ottawa, a total of 19 delegates are elected. This number was fixed by the Universal House of Justice. The unit elections are held in person at locations across the city determined by the local spiritual assembly. A list of eligible Baha'is in each unit will be posted out to all electors and will also be available at the unit meeting. Voting can also be done by mail, by phone, or via e-voting through the National Membership Portal. Details about these options will be shared by the local spiritual assembly. Votes are counted on-site at each unit meeting, and the results are announced before the end of the unit gathering.
Stage 2, the election of the local spiritual assembly. Once all 19 delegates have been elected across the city, they gather together in person for the second stage. In this gathering, the delegates vote for 9 Baha'is to serve on the local spiritual assembly. The delegates may vote for any adult Baha'i living anywhere in Ottawa, not just from among the 19 delegates themselves. Any Baha'i who is 21 years of age or older and who resides in Ottawa is eligible to be elected to the assembly. This gathering of delegates focuses on creating a spiritually uplifting atmosphere. It begins with devotions, followed immediately by the casting of ballots. According to the guidance of the Universal House of Justice, this gathering does not include a session for consultation. The primary focus is on the sacred act of voting in a prayerful atmosphere. The results of the election are then announced to the entire community at the annual meeting.
Now let's look at some changes taking place in 2026. From 2022 to 2025, Ottawa was divided into 7 electoral units. These units were based on the 9 sectors of the Ottawa Baha'i community, with some sectors combined together. This approach worked well as a starting point. However, because the units varied in size, some units elected 2 delegates, some elected 3, and some elected 4. The Universal House of Justice has provided guidance that units should be divided wherever possible in a way that allows 2 delegates to be assigned to each. In its letter of 18 January 2022 to the National Spiritual Assembly of Canada, the House of Justice wrote, "Ottawa and Toronto should be divided into electoral units, preferably in a way that would allow 2 delegates to be assigned to each, wherever this is possible."
In 2026, the local spiritual assembly, in consultation with the auxiliary board members, determined that it was now possible to reorganize the electoral units in a way that would allow 2 delegates to be assigned to each. Instead of several units based on whole sectors, Ottawa will now have 10 units based on feast neighborhoods. This means that some neighborhoods from different sectors may be grouped together in one unit. With this new structure, 9 of the 10 units will each elect 2 delegates, and 1 unit will elect 1 delegate, for a total of 19 delegates as before. Here is how the 10 units are organized in 2026.
Unit 1 includes Baha'is living in Sector 1 in the East neighborhood only. This unit will elect 1 delegate. Unit 2 includes Baha'is living in Sector 1 in the West and Central neighborhoods only. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 3 includes all Baha'is living in Sectors 2 and 3. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 4 includes Baha'is living in Sectors 4 and 5. in the neighborhoods of Bridlewood, Glencairn, Katimavik, and Stittsville. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 5 includes Bahá'ís living in Sector 5 in the neighborhoods Canada Lakes, Village Green, Beaverbrook, and Morgan's Grant. This unit will elect 2 delegates.
Unit 6 includes all Bahá'ís living in Sector 6 in the neighborhoods referred to as Yellow and Blue, including Bayshore, Foster Farm, Briar Green, Center Point, Manordale, as well as the neighborhoods of Lincoln Heights, McKellar Park, Westboro, Wellington West. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 7 includes Bahá'ís living across 2 sectors, including those in Sector 6, in the Purple neighborhood, which includes Carlington, Copeland Park, Bellaire Heights, Merivale, Meadowlands, as well as Bahá'ís in Sector 7, in the neighborhoods of Alta Vista, Guildwood Estates, General Hospital, Confederation Heights, Riverside Park, Mooney's Bay, and the airport area. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 8 includes all Bahá'ís living in Sector 7, in the neighborhoods of Huron Gate, Greenboro, Blossom Park, Sawmill Creek, South Keys, as well as the neighborhoods of Industrial Park and Hunt Club Park. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 9 includes all Bahá'ís living in all neighborhoods of Sector 8. This unit will elect 2 delegates. Unit 10 includes all Bahá'ís living in Sector 9. This unit will elect 2 delegates.
How will you know which unit you are in? Each person will be informed directly which unit they belong to. You will also receive by mail a list of all the friends in your unit who are eligible to be voted for. This list will help you know who else lives within your unit. If you have any questions, please contact the Secretariat of the local spiritual assembly.
Let us now review the key dates and practical details for the 2026 election. Stage 1. Election of delegates. The unit elections will take place on Sunday, April 12, 2026. These gatherings will be held at locations across the city, as determined by the local spiritual assembly. You will be informed of the location of your unit by email and by post. A list of eligible Bahá'ís in your unit will be posted to you and also available at the meeting. If you are unable to attend your unit gathering in person, you may vote by mail, by phone, or via e-voting through the National Membership Portal. Details about these options, including deadlines, will be shared by the Spiritual Assembly.
Stage 2. Election of the local spiritual assembly. The 19 elected delegates will gather to elect the local spiritual assembly. This gathering will take place on Sunday, April 19th, 2026. As directed by the Universal House of Justice, this gathering is for delegates only and will not be open to observers. It will be held in a spiritual atmosphere focused entirely on the sacred act of electing the local spiritual assembly. Annual meeting and announcement of results. The results of the election will be announced at the annual meeting, which will take place on the evening of Monday, April 20th, 2026, at the Bahá'í Center in Ottawa. The annual meeting will also include presentations of the Assembly's annual reports and a period for consultation and suggestions to the incoming Assembly. All members of the Ottawa Bahá'í community are warmly invited to attend.
You may have some questions about the process. Let us address a few of the most common ones. What if I don't know the people in my unit very well? This is a natural concern, especially with the reorganized units. Remember that you receive by mail a list of all the Bahá'ís in your unit, which will help you identify before the election who is eligible to be voted for. More importantly, This is an invitation to get to know the friends in your unit better, not just at election time, but throughout the year. The two-stage process encourages us to build stronger connections within our local areas. Can I vote for someone who is not in my unit? In Stage 1, no. You may only vote for delegates who live in your unit. Votes cast for someone living outside your unit will be invalid and will not be counted. However, in Stage 2, the delegates may vote for any eligible Baha'i living anywhere in Ottawa to serve on the local spiritual assembly.
How many names should I write on my ballot? In Stage 1, you should write the number of names corresponding to the number of delegates your unit is electing. Most units will elect 2 delegates, so you would write 2 names. Unit 1 elects 1 delegate, so voters in Unit 1 would write only 1 name. Please do not write more or less than your allocated number of delegates, as doing this will result in an invalid ballot. What qualities should I look for when voting? The Universal House of Justice, in their message of 25 March 2007, have provided clear guidance on this, and you are encouraged to study this letter. An animated YouTube video including a full reading of this important message can be found at this website, www.bit.ly/Baha'i election.
Dear friends, as we prepare for this year's election, let us step back and reflect on the significance of what we are participating in. The refinements we have made this year, moving from 7 units to 10, aligning more closely with the guidance to have 2 delegates per unit, are not merely administrative adjustments. They are part of this same organic process of growth. As we grow, we learn. As we learn, we refine. And in doing so, Ottawa contributes to a worldwide pattern of learning, joining communities across the globe in building the administrative order of Baha'u'llah. From the earliest seeds planted in this land, through generations of learning, service, and sacrifice, the Canadian Baha'i community has grown. What began as a seedling has, over more than a century, blossomed into something beautiful. Each children's class, each study circle, each devotional gathering, each assembly formed. These have been the roots deepening, the branches extending, the flowers opening. And now, here in Ottawa, we find ourselves in a flourishing garden, with shining lamp to light the way, just as Abdu'l-Baha envisioned when he described spiritual assemblies as heavenly gardens from which the fragrances of holiness are diffused. Whether you are voting for delegates or serving as one yourself, you are part of this garden. You are part of this story. We encourage every member of the Ottawa Baha'i community to participate. Attend your unit gathering if you can. If you cannot, please use one of the alternative voting methods. But whatever you do, please vote.
We close with these beautiful and encouraging words of Shoghi Effendi. On the election day, the friends must wholeheartedly participate in the elections, in unity and amity, turning their hearts to God, detached from all things but Him, seeking His guidance and supplicating His aid and bounty.